Hi there, welcome back to the latest news and talk on the Dylan Rounds case, looking at Candice Cooley's recent comments and analysing in general to see what's really going on. There's been a few changes as well, such as the name of the Facebook page. It'll make more sense later, so don't go anywhere. There are explanations behind it. There's also talk of Candice Cooley appearing more on YouTube, on other channels and stuff. So there's movement going on, but is it movement in the direction of bringing Dylan home? Not really. It's a different section. It's more focused on Dylan's legacy, almost like the end game. Not that it is a game, but you get the wording, okay, the reference there, where future-wise, long-term, Dylan's name lives on in the name of other cases to help other people and other families down the line, etc., etc. It's been explained before, but I guess it runs a bit deeper and there's been some changes recently, okay? So we are going to get into it today. It will be fully explained, so don't go anywhere. As for those people that are watching in this live premiere, welcome. Be sure to let me know your thoughts, your opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. And, you know, if you want to leave additional comments, you want to elaborate, leave your thoughts down below under this video in the comment section. And for those that are watching on catch up, leave your thoughts down below. Feel free to share the video too, just to spread that awareness of what's recently gone on and the mindset of Candice Cooley too. Down below in the comment section as well, you will find some additional links, pinned comment by myself. If you want to check those links out, you want to support the channel in alternative ways, there are methods there. Feel free to check it out when you can. And if I haven't said it already, be sure to catch up on my latest videos if you haven't already, because we've been looking at some other cases and returning back to the Kenny Veach case. Some very strange findings, mysterious stuff going on, strange behaviour. You want to be informed, up to date on that. Click the top right corner of the screen, I symbol, drop down box will lead you to some previous videos which you may need to catch up on. But at least for now, let's focus on Dylan Rounds. Kind of been some time on and off of not covering the case because simply there's not really been much to cover. I did the odd post previously, suggestion of if there's any locations you want to check, we can look, but I guess that's kind of run flat at the moment. But there is a location we can look back at if I haven't done already, just to highlight the importance of it or what could have been done, or is there any more that could be done in the investigation of Dylan in a specific area. That can be a future video. In general, today when I was looking back, because there's been some additional videos as well in the name of Dylan Rounds, other channels out there, from the guy with the glasses called Dr. Grande to, was it called Profiling Evil? That'll play a role in today's video discussion too. So there's been references to the Dylan Rounds case by other channels. Could that highlight that if long term, if the case continues for quite some time, more and more channels out there will talk about the case, more big channels, popular true crimers returning back or getting involved for the first time ever? Yeah, that could happen. Dylan's name could be put on the map and become very popular in time if the case goes a bit cold. You get me? Or if it just drags out a bit too long. Would that have any positive or negative effect, impact on my channel with my coverage? I have no clue. I did highlight in the past saying, I wonder what would happen. Would it ever get to the point where people return or new people come in into the future and then do their research and then come across all my videos? I don't know. If it is the popularity contest, then obviously I'll be at the bottom of the list, okay? But in terms of the quantity and arguably the quality as well, I top the list just because of the sheer numbers. 440 plus 441 videos now on this case. So surely some humans will come across these videos. You get me? And unrelated, but it does make me laugh at times, just in general, with any video you upload online, no matter the platform. You know, there's times where you might get 0 views, 1 view or something, and you ask yourself, how on earth can 0 people watch this video when there's billions of humans on this planet? Like, come on, this is taking a piss, you know, a complete joke, right? It's happened at times, it'll happen for many people in life, and it is ridiculous and it's annoying. You think so many people out there and not one person could click on the video or watch. What the hell's going on? Maybe at hands there's things out of your control, and maybe people controlling and manipulating the algorithm. You never know. But that's unrelated. Okay, I just wanted to highlight it because it was in my thoughts just now, right? So welcome to anyone that's watching. If you do join late, feel free to rewind back to the beginning, you know, just to catch up on everything. As for the order of what we're going to be doing today, if you look at YouTube comments of the last YouTube video that I did, okay, because I didn't acknowledge the last comments of the last video I did in relation to Dylan Rounds. It was more to do with some side stuff going on. It'll make more sense shortly. And then once we got through the YouTube comments and we've caught up there, any questions need answering, the Facebook post is where it's all at, where Candice Cooley has been active recently, and the statements of what's happened and what's been changed. So we'll check that out, as well as the comments and reactions there. And then in general, adding on from some of Candice Cooley's responses, we can just analyse briefly, and I'll give you my thoughts possibly, and then see where we are from there. I don't know if I said already, but from what's gone on recently in a short space of time, a range of different ideas of videos that can be made on the Dylan Rounds case, about maybe 3 or 4, depending. I can give you my thoughts and reactions of some of the other coverage by people, bigger channels that have talked about Dylan, to see if they're right or wrong, or whether I agree or not, because I've done my analysis on the case and different people involved. I mean, I think one of the most critical moments was probably the one with Brenner, which was swept heavily under the rug and somewhat silenced in a way, whether it be by YouTube or other people. I think it was a very critical, important video, that, and I just want to know if anyone remembers where I did the kind of like analysis of the motives for why Brenner would be responsible, and what was the reason behind doing it, you know? Hopefully people remember that. It was like a photo of Brenner, 2 slides with lots of text on the screen with bullet points, something like that. As for today, the cough is a little bit there, so I might be coughing a little bit. It was okay yesterday, but it's on and off at the moment. Seems to be a bit dodgy today, but it shouldn't really get in the way of this video, because, like, as we say, some casual conversations should be fine. Yesterday's video, I was kind of surprised by the amount of people that showed up, because normally those videos, what I do, tend not to do that well, but there's quite a few people present, which was good to see, and some returning names as well, like Shichu and some others. There was an account called Kenny Hines coming from Bob Farrell's community, but as a heads up, I don't know if anyone was aware. Maybe people were already and just joking along, but watch your crazy. I'm not sure if you're aware either, but the Kenny Hines account last night appeared to be the fake, like an impersonation account of the real Kenny. And when I say the real Kenny, I'm not talking about Kenny Veach. That's completely different. Kenny Hines, some random individual that's a part of certain channels and communities out there. Got a headband, has a toothpick, and that's basically it, and has some goats. So I don't know if it's doing the rounds again of people being impersonated, but just as a heads up, the Kenny Hines account that was present last night in the chat of my video, it was a fake one, okay? I mean, you'd probably be able to look back at the video or the comments and check there, but, you know, some accounts do disappear or get deleted to cover their tracks and traces. So if you're going to look, probably best do it quick if it hasn't already happened, okay? We'll see what happens tonight, of course, if anything else shows up. But yeah, people on good behaviour, not much trouble there, at least on here, on this platform. I don't know if anyone's seen Skeptical. I don't know what's happened to Skeptical. Not really seen Maria much at all. But, you know, people come and go, maybe busy with things going on. Maybe they'll return back. Maybe they won't. But we'll see what happens. And last but not least, shout out to Warlight Wrath for supporting the channel. Just a joke there, because I gifted 10 memberships recently. I did. So shout out to Warlight Ref. Right, anyway, that aside, let's focus on this video and case and begin with the YouTube comments. Catch up there. Here we are, just adjust it to the newest. In relation to the theme of these comments of the video that was done at the time, this was focused on when Ty Corbyn was advising Bob Farrell to take down Dylan Round's photo from his channel or something, and Bob protesting and kind of resisting to do so, or going back on what Ty told him to do. And then the other point was just some other talk, I guess, about the Matt Lingo-Dale situation, which maybe by now has long been sorted out, but we'll just look at the comments, right? No harm. Barbara says, Raf now 999, close to 10k. Congratulations, appreciate that. Did manage to get to 10k, and luckily he was able to hold it. It's not gone down yet. Got Matt Lingo. I see me and Dale in the thumbnail. Matt Lingo saying, for your information, we did not choose a side. We didn't put a 9 in the chat like he said. Okay, so that was back then, old news. Cleo says, 1 away from 10k. Got there in the end. Matt wasn't subbed, resubbed, so that's good of him. Yeah, so that's kind of old now. Only 9 days ago, though. Then we've got Dale says, that's BS, we have to pick a side. That's not fair. Org saying, I choose my side. Does he now? Chooses the side of the ginger cats. Yeah, I mean, just to briefly reference, picking sides, choosing sides, you shouldn't be forced to do so. In the eyes of the creator or some kind of leader, it's nice to know, though, where maybe some people stand, whether they're on the fence, off the fence, wherever. Just as a heads up, really, that's all. Cleo, appreciate you dusting me off. What, with a feather duster? June, hot tea, lemon, shot of whiskey. Well, I would try a shot of whiskey, but Leanne has drunk it all. A shame. We've got a person here called Grizzly. Now, typically, dog profile picture, dogged nature. This was the individual that was problematic on my channel in the past, but nowadays, they don't hang around, which is a positive. Previous comments, we'll just have a brief look. Ty Corbyn has been right on so many things in this case and has added so much useful information to the Dylan Brown's case. I mean, do people agree watching right now? Do people believe that Ty Corbyn contributed and helped so much in the Dylan Brown's case? Let me know your thoughts down below. Another comment here. Grizzly says they put Warlight Raf in the Dylan Brown's documentary to make him look like a fool. I think they succeeded. I mean, the only fool around here is what I'm looking at on screen, because with that profile picture, it looks like that dog may have taken a thing or two from Betty Haywood's post box. It looks kind of out of it. It almost looks like its eyes have rolled back and it's half possessed. Damn. Does it need putting down? Whoa, let's not go there because people are going to get triggered. But what's the final one? JLR has finally posted a video of Brenner's trailer camper remains from his live a week. So it seems like a year ago, maybe Grizzly was somewhat okay and then went downhill from there on, but appears to be a Ty Corbyn supporter. So basically, no surprise there, just like Buster Bitumus. Grizzly is kind of the same. Now, I don't know if I got mixed up with Grizzly or Jizzly or Jizz or Grizz. I don't know. There's so many unusual names out there where, you know, one can get mixed up with one another. But, you know, one thing for sure, this person was problematic in the past. Grizzly, though, did say 9 days ago in response about Bob Farrell, saying Bob Farrell did not laugh in his comment about the 16-year-old. Sounded serious to me. Now, I understand it from both sides. There's that sense that Bob Farrell was joking, but depending how you understand dark humour, it might go under the radar. Probably wasn't the best of things to say, nevertheless, right? It's just not exactly appropriate. But then at the same time, I don't know, maybe if the person was of a different age, younger, and said that, maybe they'd be treated differently. So I guess it differs. Sounds like there's a helicopter outside, so apologies if there is any vibration or noise. But when Bob Farrell did say it, and if people aren't quite aware of the context of it, it's some time ago now, maybe like a few weeks, Bob Farrell was listening to Ty Corbyn talking about Lance Kelly, where he was working at North Carolina, just so happened to be in the presence of another person working in the same place who was 16 years old, and supposedly they got close to one another. I don't know how intimate, and it was seen as a bit dodgy. And then Ty Corbyn then added on saying, well, the state of legal age down there is 16 and onwards. And then Bob chipped in, said, oh, well, if that's the case and you can be with a 16-year-old and it's legal, I guess I'll be heading down there soon. That's what Bob Farrell said. Yes, it does sound very dodgy. It may sound a bit creepy. I think there were some people aware that Bob was joking about. But then again, maybe there's things you just don't joke about, whether it be because it's insensitive, it's creepy, or just to protect yourself, because obviously nowadays people can get offended more easily. Nowadays people can, I don't know, misinterpret stuff more. So to not damage your image or screw yourself over or dig yourself into a hole, it's best just not saying that stuff. But then again, if you just suppressed it in your mind and you didn't say it and there was other people around, those other people around wouldn't even know what that person's thinking. So that might be even worse. So it is a bit of a messy situation. Now, at the time, and I mentioned it in the video, that it seemed like Bob Farrell was joking, and that's because of his voice, his tone, right? I mean, I don't know if it how people interpret it right now, right? Have people forgotten about it, or are people still thinking about it with what Bob said? You can let me know down below in general. But in the tone of voice, Bob chuckled in his tone of voice. As said, I've analysed humans, I've analysed people's voices, body language, etc., etc. And I could tell Bob was joking in his tone of voice. Though, I do agree that it did sound dodgy and a bit creepy, okay? Would people be saying the same exact thing, dodgy and creepy, if the person was 25 years old or 30 years old? I wonder. I think sometimes there's a bit of picking and choosing with stuff like that. But I think just in general, probably wasn't the best thing to say, right? Considering everything that's gone on in the community and how some people may have been exposed or other people have been called out, and then you end up digging yourself into a hole, especially when your character, your name has already been supposedly dragged through the mud, and you know, maybe others have painted a bad picture of you. And how do you make that worse, where you dig yourself into a hole by saying a line like that? Yeah, not exactly well thought out, but you know, it's happened. What happens next, I don't know. What will be said next, I hate to think. But it's very random, this. Okay, it's very random, this. But I'm sure in a random conversation somewhere, in a video, someone said, what happened to Toe Jam? I don't know if anyone knows Toe Jam. Bit of a weird name. Sometimes they were present on his channel, but most of the time they were elsewhere, maybe on Bellevue and elsewhere. Some guy with a bit of a beard, kind of grey whitish hair or something, and if he was on panel it looked like he was in a dark room. Just disappeared, not seen them for a while or anywhere. But then someone randomly put in saying that Toe Jam was done for inappropriate behaviour towards a younger individual. That's what someone said. Is it the truth? Is it a lie? I've got no clue. But I just remember it popping up. And it's the thing, you got these cases, you got these communities, people getting involved, and to an extent, people are just dropping like flies because they're being exposed, or things are revealed about them, or their past, or getting in trouble with stuff. It's just a bit of a messy situation, isn't it? And linking back to the comment by Bob, probably not the best of things to say. I mean, not about that comment, but I've seen some people where they've been talking about Bob, maybe in a negative way, but they also are on Bub's channel and support him. Not through super chats, but just through commenting and being positive. I'm glad I don't experience that type of behaviour. But, you know, when people gather in one spot, like a breeding ground, well, what do you expect there? But that's away from here, so it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, what Bob Farrell said, a little bit dodgy, right? And it was probably misunderstood by people, but still, probably, it's just dodgy. And when I say dodgy, I'm not defining dodgy behaviour of Bob to the word dodgy that I use, okay? Because most of the time when I use the word dodgy, it's not to the same severity, okay? You could say dodgy, creepy, but my dodgy wording on my channel in my past videos wasn't on that basis. It was more light-hearted, whereas in this case, it's not light-hearted. It's more of a serious matter. I mean, yeah, let's just move on. Fucking hell, it took so long to talk then. Cleo, okay, you're welcome. T-Dog says, just want to let everyone know that Ty Corbin is not in contact with the family and doesn't know anything. Never produced anything correct in Dylan's case. He's an attention whore. I don't know who this T-Dog is, but that's what they're saying about Ty. They also say Justin Rounds doesn't talk to Ty Corbin, thinks he's an idiot, no contact at all. So that's interesting. So if T-Dog knows that Justin hasn't spoken to Ty, is T-Dog in correspondence with Justin? I don't know. Christy says, I received a gifted membership, thanks. I'm not present in chat lately, will be back soon. I haven't much to say about other creators or subscribers. I don't follow them and normally I focus on stories or cases. That's understandable, probably the best approach there. We got Sasquatch. Yes, look at profile picture. Yeah. Wow, look at all those trees. Look at all that wood in the distance. Sasquatch, when you're walking through the wood, Sasquatch, make sure you don't walk into the wood. You don't want a concussion. Because the last time, man, I was walking through the woods, God, went face first into the tree. But yeah, shout out to this person. Moving on, got Christy, appreciate that. T-Dog says, I don't think Candice Cooley or Justin would mind clearing up the fact that Ty Corbin is a nobody out there and it's not involved in any way, shape or form with Dylan Rounds. All Ty Corbin is Jim Terry's muppet or puppet. Together they've spread quite the false narratives. The truth will be out soon and everybody will see how OFF, Jim and Ty have been. Oh, how wrong they've been. Okay. And Cleo, congratulations. So, yeah, that appears to be it of the comments. Some interesting ones there. Let me know your thoughts in the chat right now. But I think it's now time to head on over to the new stuff, the new post by Candice Cooley from the Facebook page. Here we are, as you can tell by the name of the group now, known as Dylan's Legacy. And it'll be explained a bit later down in a post by Candice Cooley. Originally, the name of this Facebook page, group, whatever you want to call it, was known as Find Dylan Rounds. I still call it that today because it does apply. Dylan hasn't been found yet, so it's still about finding him. But that only lasted so long. I don't know if it was in 2023 or just before, but Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page was renamed to Justice for Dylan Rounds. And just up to now, recently, been renamed to Dylan's Legacy. And, you know, depending how you interpret it, you could say it seems like they're moving on too quick, considering Dylan hasn't been found yet. Kind of similar to how some people highlighted that when the documentary was made about Dylan Rounds, it was a bit too soon because it hasn't reached a conclusion yet. It hasn't reached court properly. I get that. But there might be some kind of movement in other directions and a true reason behind it. You just got to try and find the post first of all, okay? Because it's never in the correct order. I mean, you got the post here that says, Whatever someone did to this man, it's time to tell his family where he is. Let his parents have him back. There was no key comments here by anyone. Candice Cooley didn't respond. 28th of January, found enough beads to do 5 more tractor bead keychains that sold out so fast. Anyone knows where to get more, please message me. Yeah, so on the Etsy store of Dylan Rounds, I think there might have been the odd item added, some like necklace. So you want to check that out, feel free to do so. This comment here, there wasn't really any responses there. This one here, 23 hours ago, good morning. Is there any updates on Dylan's whereabouts? Justice for Dylan. Let me just get a response here from Candice Cooley. Right, so Candice Cooley says, if we knew anything about Dylan's whereabouts, we would go get him. McKinney still hanging around. Heartbeat. Please know Dylan's always on our minds. So, not really much there, but it just confirms that Dylan hasn't been found yet. But I guess the only thing to highlight in the wording of this by Candice Cooley, saying, if we knew any information or leads leading to Dylan's whereabouts, we would go and get him. So it's worded as if at any point, any moment, any time, now or tomorrow or a week, a month later, if they do get intel and they do find Dylan, they're not going to inform the Facebook page immediately. So there will be a delay nevertheless, which is normal. But I just wanted to highlight that, right? So in the future, it might feel like nothing's happening, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And there might be restrictions as to what can be said and what can't be. I mean, that's already been demonstrated, right, with certain evidence. But as for the future, besides winter time and the roadblocks there could be still things happening. I don't know if there's been any further updates on that DNA evidence, the new stuff or not. But just a little update there. There is more to it. 5th of February. Is it possible? Right, so this is the key one, which we'll get to shortly. That's an example of a sticker, what someone got from the Etsy store. Okay, it's quite a big size sticker, to be fair. There we go. So we'll just have a look at this one quickly first. So, Candice Cooley posted yesterday, says, we made the decision to change Dylan's page. So I guess that means Find Dylan Round's Facebook page. We've changed it over to Dylan's Legacy today. And as we saw, the name of the page has changed to Dylan's Legacy. You can see it next to Candice Cooley's name and post. Candice Cooley says, we will continue to fight hard for justice for Dylan. We've been helping a lot of other families through their crisis and time of need and felt it's time to make this change. Whilst we continue to wait for the slow wheels of justice in our court system, we want to pay it forwards and help other families and people. We've had so many amazing supporters for Dylan, and we want to pass that along through his legacy to help with other families. Dylan was destined to make a legacy, and he has. Please share this page and let others feel the love and support in their time of need that you made us feel. We would not be where we are without you. So, down below, a thumbnail of a recent video. Name of the channel, I believe it's called Profiling Evil Network. Profiling Evil. Let me know in the chat if you've ever heard of that channel before. The video titled February Choir Practice with FBI profiler Mark Safaric and Officer Dion Joseph. Right, so whatever that's about, I guess some kind of authority being involved, appearing on the channel too with their expertise and knowledge. Kind of like a duty run situation, I guess, and it says surprise guest Dylan Round's mother Candice Cooley. Yeah, okay. Some comments there, I think people were just saying, oh, that's good to know and whatnot. I think on Bob Fowler's post, shared that video too, but someone left a comment there claiming that the person called Mark Safaric invited Candice Cooley onto his show in the past and raised money, but it wasn't put towards the case. It was put towards dining the family out for a meal. Don't know what that's all about. Don't know how true or how false it is, but that was just mentioned in the background. Nevertheless, Once again, another channel, another panel, and more awareness on Dylan Round's case on a bigger, more established channel. It's not exactly a bad thing, right? The other special guest, what? Mark Safaric, FBI profiler. Okay. Dion Joseph, street cop, and Candice Cooley. And I guess the guy on the right in the bottom corner is the guy that runs the channel or, does most of the videos. Okay. Well, let me know your thoughts, to what you think about it all. Is it a good thing, a bad thing? I mean, I don't know if it was mentioned here or somewhere else. Is it mentioned here? I can't remember, but I read it somewhere that they're going to be appearing on the show quite often in the future. Was it worded here? So many amazing supporters. Want to continue show wheels? No, I don't think it's quite there. I mean, we can have a quick look at the comments just to double check. Okay, so there was additional text here. Maybe it's mentioned. It says, please tune in tonight to Profiling Evil with Mike King. I'll be joining him regularly to try and get help for others. He's been an amazing supporter for Dylan's case and is very reputable in what he does. Also, with more information to come, Dylan's case will be featured on Dr. Phil's new primetime show about the injustice in our justice system. Utah legislation has stood up and knows there needs to be a change. We have power in numbers. Let's become that power to make a change for every family who finds themselves in this situation. So, it's kind of interesting that. How would you interpret this? That in the meantime, whilst Dylan Rounds is still out there missing, buried somewhere, probably. But in the meantime, Candice Cooley is appearing on these different YouTube channels. The other one that was mentioned not that long ago was Missing in America or Missing America Network. You remember that one where I highlighted it to you in a video saying how Candice Cooley and Jazz Girlson teaming up together in the name of Dylan Round's legacy as well, making videos, doing their own little call-ins and interviews with victims' families of similar things they've gone through and spreading the word and spreading awareness. Is that still going forwards? I don't know. Because I guess if you're going to be appearing on other YouTube channels, you wouldn't really call it a work schedule unless you're a content creator, I guess. If you're doing it like part-time, it does become, I don't know, a bit of a routine, a bit of a schedule, right? Depending on how many shows you appear on. But as it's said here at least, that Candice Cooley will be regularly, I can't say that word properly. On a regular basis, Candice Cooley will be appearing on this show of Mike King Profiling Evil. On a regular basis. Interesting. So is that a new role for Candice Cooley? I mean, what's happening to Justin Rounds? Is Justin Rounds still going hard at it? Physically searching for Dylan, I guess? And, getting on with other stuff as well. Let me know your thoughts behind this. Are you surprised or not? And let me know, are you interested in the Dr. Phil's primetime show, which will involve Dylan Round's case? Let me know your thoughts. I mean, Candice Cooley does say just before that, also with more information to come. What exactly? All about Dylan's case on Dr. Phil or some additional stuff which hasn't been mentioned yet or can't be? I guess time will tell, right? And maybe it will drop in bulk and it will happen unexpectedly. And you think, whoa, where's this all come from? But I just wanted to share this with you, right? Once again, another channel, another named one. You want to check it out, type in Profiling Evil. You should be able to find it. It was one of the latest videos, live streams. So feel free to check it out. Now, returning back up here. This is a key one. Whilst we may have heard it several times by now and even by Candice Cooley, let's check for the consistency. Let's see if there's any inaccuracies or contradictions. Let's just see in general if there's any additional information. Nathan says, 5th of February, is it possible that the prosecutors could work out some kind of deal with the parasite James Brenner in exchange for the location of Dylan Rounds so he can be laid to rest properly at his age and current health? Even a reduced sentence would likely render the rest of his natural life behind bars. So this person is supposedly taking in consideration that Brenner is of an old age, and with his health issues, supposedly, he might not have that long to live, so maybe action is needed sooner than later. As for the comments, Candice Cooley does respond. Let's see what she's got to say. Candice says, whilst we know this seems like a logical solution, the fact of the matter is, there is nothing wrong with Brenner's health, and he's not that old. This is what the media has portrayed. He has a violent criminal history across the country and has already spent time for attempted murder in another state. We want to bring Dylan home more than anything, but we will not jeopardise other people's safety in the trade. He will have nothing to turn to except crime when he gets out. Right, first and foremost, there is consistency here. Even if you don't agree with Candice Cooley's attitude or what she's got to say, she is consistent in what she says here compared to what she said many months ago, and I'll explain that shortly. Okay. The bit about Brenner committing crimes, the bit about in a different state, probably the Maryland one. But let's just start from the beginning and break it down, what Candice Cooley said. So she said, whilst we know this seems like a logical solution, she's basically saying that, yes, it is logical, getting Brenner some kind of exchange, maybe a lesser sentence, so that the location of Dylan can be revealed, so then you can lay your son to rest and seek the closure you deserve. Candice Cooley agrees with that. She says, yes, that is logical. That's the right thing to do. But, and that's where Candice Cooley says, reality is there is nothing wrong with Brenner's health and he's not old. So it seems like just that those few sentences basically means Candice Cooley agrees it's important for a deal to be made and Brenner to exchange information of where Dylan's whereabouts are. But considering we're not in a rush because Brenner's health is supposedly okay and he's not that old, he's got time to live, and it means we've got time to wait. So whilst we could get some closure now, we don't need to because we can wait and we're confident that Brenner will remain alive. That's how it comes across. It seems like the family are okay with not making a deal or accepting a deal, let's word it like that, because they're not in control of the actual deal itself, but they can have the mindset of do they want to go along with it or not, and obviously they don't. But they also feel, or at least Candice Cooley feels, that it's the right thing to do but not the right time. That's how it comes across here. Anyway, Candice Cooley does say that the media has portrayed Brenner in a frail, weak, vulnerable state. Was that really the case? I mean, it might tie in line with that past hearing of where Brenner was limping into the courtroom, and then Candice Cooley just said to Nate Eaton that it was done for attention, and the media picked up on that and played on it. I mean, do people agree with that? I can't remember, personally, if there were any media outlets highlighting Brenner's health decline. Maybe not to that extent. I think there might have been more people who were attending those court hearings that added on with their own thoughts, suggesting that Brenner appeared maybe ill at a point in time. But then later it was cleared up and said that he seemed okay. And even his body shape seemed a bit more toned, like he was working out in jail, as said by Gloria Dellen, who did attend the odd hearing to do with Brenner. And even one of the Montello locals' contacts that went out there as well saw it themselves. So I guess that ties in line with Candice Cooley, that health-wise, all right, age-wise, not too bad. But obviously, unexpected things can happen to the body, can happen to people in general. But I guess maybe we've already passed one of the phases. Maybe the most critical point was when Brenner went from drinking alcohol, possibly heavily, to then suddenly the alcohol being taken away from him. And as you know, you suddenly stop a certain routine, you can feel the side effects, and it can be quite intense, and it can be harmful. It can even lead to death. So you're very dependent on alcohol or drugs. You go cold turkey, it goes bad, it goes wrong. That's why sometimes people have to cut down slowly. Not that it's an easy thing to do, but in Brenner's situation, he had no choice. He was apprehended, he was taken in by the police. The Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, police department and stuff, taking, measures. So that means no alcohol intake, and obviously you wouldn't have alcohol at all if you're in prison or jail. But what I'm getting at is, despite that, Brenner didn't seem to have any severe side effects from going from alcohol to not drinking anymore, so maybe he is okay. But even if he is okay, and even if he does still live a long life, what good does that do? That just drags it out, right? I mean, if you need him to stay alive as long as possible while she's still searching and you've got leads and information, then yeah, okay, so then stays alive, you search, you find stuff, you find Dylan, then you get on with the court proceedings, and then you get the justice whilst the clock's ticking away. But if you haven't got anything, and you're dependent on Brenner, and you're just biding your time, where's it really going? It's not really going anywhere. So, I mean, I don't know if I'll do a poll right now, but do people believe that Brenner is the key now in the answers to the case and bringing closure to the family? Or could there be some hope elsewhere? Let me know your thoughts. Linking back to what I said initially, the sentence which maintained a form of consistency is where Candice Cooley says about, we don't want it happening to anybody else. We don't want it to jeopardise other people's safety. And that Brenner has got past violent criminal history across different states, across the country. And that attempted murder happened in a different state, and he served his time. And I believe that's to do with the Maryland shooting, which was first treated as attempted murder, but then it was reduced to malicious wounding, like harming somebody but not fatally. I don't know if that's what Candice Cooley's referring to here, but it comes across like that. But then again, there was some other comments by people elsewhere saying that Brenner did attempted murder elsewhere as well. As I said, I can't remember it all on the spot, but if that's the case, that's probably what Candice Cooley's referring to. But the reason why this links back to the point of consistency, whether people agree with it or not, many months ago, Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds, elaborated and explained why they had the mindset, the attitude of not wanting to accept a potential deal. Because they felt that if they did, they're betraying Dylan's name and Dylan's trust. Even though Dylan's no longer here, they feel like they're betraying him. Because who they're siding with or making a deal with is like the devil, because the devil is the one that took Dylan's life away. So it's not fair, it doesn't seem right, it's not normal. But then again, there's a lot of other situations and cases out there where people had to make a deal with the devil, even if they didn't want to, because the outcome was greater that way than being alone and finding a needle in the haystack. So in the short term, it's horrible, but long term, it's worthwhile. And then you get the justice and so on. But Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds have other ideas and perceptions in which they think, besides the betrayal part, if a deal's made and if Brenner is released in the future, if there is time and his sentence is reduced, he might commit the same crime again, if not worse, elsewhere to another family, another person. Is it worthwhile? Saving your own son, but at the cost of other people being hurt in the future. So Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds' mentality there was a bit of stubbornness and being too proud in the name of Dylan, but also being selfless, not selfish, but selfless, in which they're biding their time, denying themselves of a clear opportunity, possibly, making it harder on themselves, on the case, because they don't want to see other people hurt. So it's good of them to think that way, but as for this case, it's not doing any good there, right? But as I said, the family aren't in control of the actual deal. Do they have the final say on it either? I'm not too sure about that, but if they did, as Candice Cooley and Justin Round said, they wouldn't accept it. So that's basically it there. Yeah, so if Brenner was released, he probably would reoffend again. I do agree on that point. Would it be worse than the last? Who knows? Maybe if he's annoyed, fed up, he could lose control. But is there any other points here? I know so many of us just want the best for you all from this devastating situation. Thank you so much for keeping us informed. You're not obligated to do so. Okay, right, prayers. Montana, put me in jail cell with him for a few days, I'll get it out of him. Probably not the best wording, but I understand. The most selfless, unselfish post I've ever read in a long time. So I guess that ties in line with what I was saying. McKinney's Place says, Candice Cooley, exactly, blessings to your courage through this whole horrific ordeal. Justin Rounds as well. We're behind you all. We lost our daughter in 2016. We will come and support you all during trial as parents with a kingship, blessings and prayers. For Dylan Rounds to be found. Brenner to be in jail for life. He's getting great medical care from the infirmary, not drinking or drugging, not old. He's only in his 60s. All that in court is an ACT. Manipulation is all stay strong. So McKinney's Place that says we lost our daughter in 2016. That was brought up not long ago when McKinney was saying how Jim Terry, Bob Farrell, Kaylee and a few others, salty pancakes are all bad as each other. And McKinney, I think, was hinting that in 2016 when they lost their daughter, they reached out to Jim Terry and got screwed over by Jim Terry. So who is this McKinney's Place? Is it a secret account? Is it an alternative one to somebody else out there? I don't know. Moving on. Sean says, I live out here just 2 weeks ago. I seen a dead cow out here between the coyotes and the birds. It's gone, so unless he's buried, there ain't going to be no remains. If it was me, I'd rather see him do all his time. He's a fat, old, unhealthy piece of shit. I don't think he had the strength to bury him. If it wasn't for the gun, he'd probably never overtook him. Let him do all this to him. He's there. There's more than one way to put people to rest bodies. Always don't come home. I have an uncle in Korea. Mia, my condolences to you, and remember, you won't get over this. You can only get through it. Sorry for your loss. So this person seems to be saying that they live in Lucin, or they live near to Lucin, and they've been out there 2 weeks ago, living there, highlighting that because of Brenner, his build, his age, his health, may not be able physically to move Dylan's body. But this is the thing, if you can just about drag him and maybe receive some assistance, maybe from like the likes of Don Hatley or something, load him into a vehicle, drive somewhere, drag him out, drag him across the ground, as bad as it sounds, and then roll him into a mine shaft or a wash and maybe throw some dirt over, maybe that is possible, right? I mean, we've been through it over and over again in the past. Some people believe that Brenner is able. Some people believe that it's not possible at all. And others think that Brenner had assistance and it was doable at the end of the day. But I think one thing for certain, Dylan has not been found yet. So arguably a good job was done in the eyes of the person doing the desecration of Dylan, of the remains, hiding them, moving them away. Because he's not been found yet. Similar to the trash bags in the spring cleaning. They were never retrieved, so where did they go? I did put forward one saying that maybe where the bin bags went, did they go in the same direction as to where Dylan Rounds was buried, right? And the reason why we highlight the possibilities of Dylan being buried is simply because of, on surface level, there's been no bodies, there've been no human bones, nothing like that. So, well, when I say no bodies, specifically Dylan, I'm not saying about anyone, I'm just meaning Dylan. So because that hasn't happened, Dylan hasn't been identified there. But then again, as for soil disturbance, when the family have checked, when drones have been used for soil disturbance, it didn't really lead to much. So could you argue and say that Dylan's just not even in the area to begin with and further afar? You never know. I mean, they've looked in the wash, focused there, they've even focused at the pond, but they've not really found anything else since. But then again, it depends what the new DNA evidence was and exactly where it was found, possibly the pond or elsewhere. Don't know if that would link on to any other possible leads or ideas, but unfortunately we can't do a map analysis of that because we don't have all the information right now. Maybe in the future we will get to know, and maybe I can apply it visually. But yeah, this guy, if Box Elder would have done their job correctly, that parasite would have been locked up on the warrant he had at the time of Dylan's murder, and Dylan could have continued his dream of farming. They cared more about that parasite than they did for Dylan's family. When they were investigating his disappearance by asking Dylan's family to leave the land Dylan had permission to be on so they wouldn't upset the parasite who was a squatter there trespassing. Boyd Porter says he had permission to be there to watch over the landowner's equipment, so he was not trespassing. He did have multiple arms by a convicted felon warrant, and totally should have been locked up previously to his actions. Candice, Justin and Larry will always be in mine, as no longer live just down the road from his farm and can't go out on my nightly walks searching. Wait, what's this? Boyd says, what's this? To his actions, Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds and Larry Rounds will always be in mind as I no longer live just down the road from his farm and can't go out on my nightly walks searching. Wait, does that mean Boyd Porter lives near to Dylan's farm? Is that what's been worded here? Robert says, I believe it was mentioned that the parasite didn't have permission to be there. Candice Cooley, can you verify this? I mean, Corey said Brenner was able to be there under some circumstances. Boyd says he did to watch over the equipment. That's why Don Hartley got him permission to move there after the bar incident, to get him out of the town, to hopefully keep him out of trouble. And like I said, I lived in Lucin on the same road as Dylan's farm. Right, so he once lived there but no longer, moved away. So who is Boyd Porter? Does anyone know who Boyd Porter is? Living on the same road as Dylan's farm. Now, as far as what I can remember, when I may have looked on the map, I didn't see any trailers or buildings or trailers, but then again, maybe it was outdated. I'll have to look back maybe on Bing Maps to see if there was anyone living by the side of the road or something down the road to Dylan's farm. That's interesting. Because if Boyd Porter was living on the road near to Dylan's farm, wouldn't Boyd Porter be a person of interest, a possible witness as to what may have happened to Dylan? Christine says, Kenneth's prayers, I want what you want. I agree this man can't be allowed to do it again. Although we may not know where he left Dylan's body, we do know Dylan is with God. Okay. Karina says, heart goes out to family. Amazing. Okay, breaks heart. Proper place. Okay, yeah. Pain. Stay strong. Right, so yeah. Last one, continued prayers. So not really much more. That appears to be it for now with these posts. I just wanted to point that out to you. So to be honest, I think when it came to analysing it, I did most of it on that post than here. So maybe there's not as much to add on. I do want to just say, as a heads up to people, there will be a Kenny Veach case video coming very shortly, maybe tomorrow or the day after. It was initially going to happen today, but then this popped up unexpectedly. So I thought I'd just cover this now because it's fresh, it's new, and I want to know your thoughts on it. And let me know if you are going to maybe watch the odd video or two where Candice Cooley appears on. I mean, what I was thinking of doing is maybe I could watch it and maybe make some notes and then do an analysis, a summary overview of it, share it with you, give you my points on the matter and my take, my analysis, etc. Pick up on any contradictions, anything that may have gone wrong or new stuff that's been added. And also, if you're in a situation where you don't want to listen to Candice Cooley because you don't want to hear her voice, you don't want to see her face, you just can't be bothered watching the video, that's fine. Because if I watch it on behalf of you, I can make the notes and then I can relay it back to you over here on this channel, like how I've always done in the past. So maybe that's better suited for people. I'm aware that this case isn't as popular as it used to be. Not as many show up here nowadays, but that's fine. I've covered this case long enough to feel comfortable covering it. And with learning on the go, it's been all right. Okay, maybe it probably is probably the first case I've ever interacted with where I've been able to keep up with it on the spot. But you know, maybe it's to be expected if you've been around long enough and almost done it every day. So yeah, that's happened there. To reflect back on the Dylan Rounds case and situation, okay, maybe tying in with one of the comments mentioning about if Brenner was arrested sooner than later, we would have a different outcome and Dylan would be alive. Well, that's based on one condition, okay? If Brenner was apprehended when he should have been in 2021 and the whole COVID talk and excuses there weren't used by limitations of the police force, then yeah, Brenner would have been taken in and Dylan would have been safe. For now. That's what I think. Because on that whole aggravated assault thing in 2021, yeah, Brenner would have got in trouble. Brenner may have spent some time in jail or prison, but not that long. And by the time Brenner being released, he probably would do what he did to Dylan, supposedly, just at a later date. So inevitable. So the only way you could have avoided it truly is if Dylan Rounds moved away from the area and went back to Idaho or to a different state, or if Brenner was locked away for life. That's the only way you would prevent Dylan's death, in my opinion, right? The only thing that I might suggest and highlight that if it wasn't in 2021, if Brenner was at least apprehended at the time of Dylan's disappearance and it occurred before the 2nd of June, if somehow by some miracle Brenner was apprehended on that previous ongoing warrant 2021 and Brenner was taken in, let's say, the 31st of May, maybe, or the 1st of June, or the 30th of May, when Candice Cooley came down to the place to report Dylan missing. If it happened around that time period, what it would have prevented would be any evidence being moved about or manipulated. And certainly the trash bags in the Grainshed property spring cleaning June 2nd would have remained intact and wouldn't have been moved. And it could have been vital evidence and new leads. It could have led to a catalyst, right? But equally, beside that, you could just say that if the family didn't interfere with the vehicle and didn't touch it, despite police being casual about it, then maybe the distance, the mileage on Dylan's truck could have revealed the true location of where it went and what it was used for, and maybe it would deliver you to the spot where Dylan was disposed of if that truck was used when disposing Dylan, right? So it's not just one-sided, it can apply to different people in the case, okay? It's unfortunate the way it's gone, but it's happened. And I know people can say, reflecting back on what ifs, it doesn't change the real fact of what's happened. I get that, but there's no harm in just looking back at least, right? To try and understand or to reflect back. Maybe if people do reflect back, maybe the family, maybe friends or people tied to the case, if they look back at what went wrong, then adjust it to make sure that those same things don't happen again for other families. Because if it's in the name of Dylan's legacy and about helping other families who may be going through the same thing, eliminate some of those problems, it makes it easier for them, right? So I think besides the spring cleaning though, if Brenner was apprehended really early on, would it have changed the chances of finding Dylan if he was already buried? Well, that's the thing. Candice Cooley has highlighted the possibilities that Brenner buried Dylan somewhere nearby, let's say the Grainshed property, dug him back up later and moved him on elsewhere. So like 2 burial spots. One where Dylan once was, and then the second one where he's laid to rest, in a way, right? And to be honest, when it came to the whole desecration talk in the past, desecration umbrella term, and what falls under it is the example of burying a body and then digging it back up and then burying it somewhere else. So that could tie in with Brenner, right? Possibilities. And the way the dogs have reacted over time, like a final hit, a verified alert, like they sensed something. And there was like one alert where they didn't find anything, but there was something that was once there. What could have been once buried but no longer present in the name of Dylan Rounds? Well, obviously, Dylan's body. Seems quite obvious, right? Dylan was once buried here, temporarily, and then change of mind, change of plan, maybe helped by a local, who knows. Dug back up and taken further afar. Maybe that's why it's so difficult to find Dylan, because he's been moved about. Maybe if Brenner was apprehended much earlier on, Brenner may have not had the chance or opportunity to move Dylan a second time round. It's not a guarantee though, because it depends. If Dylan Rounds was buried on the Saturday, which would have been the 28th of May 2022, the following day, the 29th of May, Sunday, would have been a blank patch. All day to spend getting the story straight or getting help, clearing up, moving things about, removing stuff that's once been hidden, such as Dylan's body. Yeah, there's enough time to do that. We've got all day, Brenner has, or somebody else has. Then comes the next day, well, that's when Candice Cooley's coming on down. So you still got the early hours of the morning. You still got the early hours of the morning to make any adjustments. So I wouldn't say 2.5 days, 2 days and a bit to dispose of Dylan. That seems like more than enough time, and enough time to bury and then rebury after. So that might be the key factor which makes it most difficult here. And of course the desert and how vast and open it is, the square mile, a lot of it pretty great in depth, size and time spent. So, I mean, it'd be interesting if some facts were provided. I don't know if you'd be able to get a hold of it, like the details of how much square, what do you call it, square foot, square miles, how much land, how many acres, and like a grid reference, how much of Lucin has been searched, how much of the desert itself, going from the centre of Lucin all the way up to Grouse Creek and all the way down to Wendover and all the way across to just before the lake or the Salt Lake City, right? You know, the whole desert area of Lucin and the outskirts. How much of that has been searched? I mean, you look at the mountain area, right, where Lance Kelly originally searched, Ty Corbin originally searched, Scott Natal, Les Natal. They did a fair bit of coverage there and looked for as many mines as they could. And that was a smaller area compared to the likes of flat desert, very vast and open. So you got to put that into perspective. And of course, quite a bit of equipment would have been used over time in the Dylan Rounds case, but ultimately, how effective has it been in searching every inch of the desert? Surely there is some areas which have not been searched yet. And while you can keep going over the same area, what are you expecting? You know, you check 5 to 10 times and you've checked thoroughly, you're not getting anywhere. Is it worth checking a final, like a 12th time, a 20th time? Is it worth it? Or should you redirect focus elsewhere to a different location? Maybe that would be the key method. I did highlight previously suggesting that, do you think Dylan could be more north or more east of where he may have been buried? And some people agreed with that. I mean, if you're looking east, that's towards the chop shop, the scrap yard, which could have been of interest. If you're looking more north, where you got the other wash, which leads up to Grouse Creek, okay? So just as like little pointers there, if anyone is interested. So I think we'll leave it there for now. Hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. I'm going to try and do a Kenny Beach video next, and then maybe, if possible, do a few Dylan Rounds ones. But for that, I'll have to look at some videos and just watch them and then make notes before I can talk about it. So thanks for watching. See you next time. For now, goodbye and good night.